so much. I'm super excited to be here. Thank you, everybody. Thank you to the organizers for inviting me. Super exciting to be here and to kind of have a feel of. I know that it's virtually, but at the same time, in my mind, I'm like, I am in East Africa right now. Nobody can tell me anything otherwise. So it's really good to be here. So for the session today, I intend to take you through, why you should be on LinkedIn. First of all, what is LinkedIn? Why you need to be on LinkedIn? How to get the best of LinkedIn through 3 lenses. So I intend to take you through how to build your profile on LinkedIn, which I think is something that a lot of young Africans get stuck on. I was stuck on that for my early years starting to use LinkedIn, and secondly, how to create value on LinkedIn by creating content, and then third of all, how to connect with people on LinkedIn, which I think is also another sticky part, because it's like there's so many people on this platform that has millions of people from all over the world. So how do I put my best foot forward, and how do I make sure that how do I make sure that I'm making the right moves and I'm doing the right things for my career or my personal development? So I don't necessarily know how many minutes I have. So let me just confirm, how many minutes do I have today? Just so that I know what I'm working with.
40 minutes.
40 minutes. Okay, cool. So I will try my best to get through because I do have slides, and I will share my screen in a little bit just to make sure that I'm able to get through everything that I can. But again, if I don't get through everything, I'm an open book. You can always reach out to me on LinkedIn. I will definitely respond. It's not a big deal. So if there's something that I'm not able to address during this session, best believe that you can either find it online, honestly, or or you can reach out to me and I will answer. So I'll just share my screen right now, and you let me know if you can see my screen. Can you see my screen?
Yes, it's sharing. Yes, we can see it.
Okay, amazing. So what I will do is I will sorry, I'm trying to. Yeah, so let's start from the beginning. So this is Making LinkedIn Work for You by Tislope Aderokun. They already spoke about who I am and what I do, and yeah, I'm super excited to be here today. So the first question I will ask everyone, and I'd really love you to participate in the chat, please, to make this as interactive as possible. What type of LinkedIn user do you think you are right now? So I will just go ahead to just explain what each of these 4 things mean, right? So the first type of LinkedIn user that I usually talk about is the observer. Now, the observer is somebody who just comes on LinkedIn like once in 1 month and logs in and sees, oh, all is well, everything is good, and just opts back out. They don't contribute to the platform. They're not posting, they're not commenting on anybody's thing. They're just looking, they just look and they pop out. So that's the first type of user. Then the second type of user is the contributor. Now, the contributor is somebody who comes to LinkedIn, they leave comments, they don't make any post, but they are saying congratulations to people, they are saying, oh, this is interesting. They are engaging with people, but not by creating their own content. They are usually responding and contributing to the content of other people. Now, the third person is the consumer. The consumer is very similar to the observer, but while the observer just pops in and pops out, doesn't necessarily get any value from the platform. The consumer is someone who's getting all the value, but they are just not. So for example, the observer might be on LinkedIn, say once in 1 month. The consumer is always on LinkedIn, but they never contribute to the platform. So they're not leaving comments, they're not engaging at all, but they are constantly on LinkedIn trying to what is new, what can I get for myself, or how can it how can it benefit me in some way? But they are not, they're not using their voice at all on the platform. And last but not the least, last type of user is the creative. Now, the creative is somebody who is on LinkedIn, creating content, making sure they're engaging with people, the person is really out there on the platform. So if you can, just in a minute, can you kind of tell me who you are right now, which of these type of users you are right now and which one you'd like to be? There's no right or wrong answer. It's just a little exercise to kind of get you excited for the session and very self-reflective, so that we get the best out of today. So just I will start, right? So for me, I would say I'm the creative and I'm the contributor and consumer. I'm kind of in what do you say? So, okay, so yeah, I can see that people are really dropping. I can see that Elizabeth is an observer, Lydia is an observer. Do we have any contributors in the house, consumers, creatives? There's no really wrong and right answer. Priska is a consumer, Immaculate is an observer and consumer. Thank you guys so much. I mean, you can still, oh wow, okay. Wow, this is amazing. I'm seeing consumers and contributors, and this is awesome. I think that way you're able to kind of see where you are at the platform and where you need to be. Now, I can't say for sure like there is like the perfect type of LinkedIn user, right? But at its core, I think that it's super important to have a little bit of everything so that you get the best out of LinkedIn. So you're going to have a little bit of the observer and you and the contributor and the consumer and the creative, and all of these things will make you like get the best from the platform. But right now, I love this. Kelly's like observer, creative soon. Yes, I love the energy. That's amazing. So I will just like go on and continue the slide. So thank you guys for participating. I hope you guys can still hear me, just to make sure that you are still with me. So
Yes.
another thing I would just like you to ask yourselves, what's your goal for LinkedIn? I think when it comes to using LinkedIn, people do not know why they're on LinkedIn. And trust me, knowing why you're using LinkedIn and what you want to get from LinkedIn is super important, because it would inform some of the steps that you take. So for example, you can be on LinkedIn with 20K followers and it's not making any difference in your life, honestly. So at the end of the day, you need to understand what your goal for LinkedIn is. And if you guys can share in the comments, we'll do this in 1 minute so that, because again, I do have a number of slides and I want to get through them as fast as I can. But if you can just tell me what's your goal, is it to get a job? Is it to create impact? Is it to connect with people from all over the world? Is it to get international, global, or local opportunities? Is it to tell your stories and create content, because that, trust me, that will be super important to understand how you can use the platform. And then second question I have is, what do you hope to gain from this class? So again, that's another question you can answer. You can put it in the chat. You don't have to. You don't have to. But then again, it's very important. So sorry, I'm hearing some noise. Please, can you mute your mic so that this can be super seamless? Thank you so much. So Elizabeth is saying she wants to create impact and get a job while at it. Fantastic. For me, I would say my goal from LinkedIn, I always say this, my goal from LinkedIn is never to get 10,000 followers. It's never to, get 10,000 followers. Again, it's for me, the most important thing for me for LinkedIn is to make sure that I'm creating value for my community and I am connecting with people regardless of borders, right? So for me, it's just those are the kind of two things that really make me tick on LinkedIn. And obviously tell my story unapologetically, my story as a young Nigerian and African woman, just living my life basically. So I can see Kelly wants to create content, connect to people across the globe, get jobs and create impact. That's amazing. So again, I hope that you kind of see the cycle, or like the momentum I am setting up, because by knowing where you stand and by knowing what you want from the platform, then you're going to be able to use. Gilbert is saying that you want to get connections and you want to get jobs. That's fantastic. By knowing what type of user you are right now and what you hope to get from LinkedIn, you're going to be able to better use these tools that I'm about to tell you. So let's move on. So the first thing I always tell people when it comes to LinkedIn, right, is don't overthink it. I know that there's a lot of tendency to overthink LinkedIn, thinking that, it's this very massive platform, which is super professional and everybody's announcing their wins every single day. And trust me, I get. But one thing I will say is don't overthink LinkedIn at all. Trust me, I know that it's a professional platform. I won't tell you otherwise. But at the same time, right now, I think that LinkedIn itself as a company and even people on LinkedIn, there's a lot of emphasis on showing up as your authentic self and however that looks like right now. And so don't think that, I'm not so professional for LinkedIn, or I'm too this or I'm too that, or for LinkedIn. Trust me, there's a space for everybody on LinkedIn, regardless of what you do. I remember the day I saw someone who like a mechanic, like an auto repair mechanic on LinkedIn. And I remember, showing somebody. I even saw like a traditional medicine healer on LinkedIn one day, and I was like, wow, this is amazing. I've seen actors and actresses, music directors, Mr. Easy, who's like a musician from Nigeria. This guy literally shows up on LinkedIn almost every week making posts. So trust me, regardless of what you are and what you're interested in, there is a space for you on LinkedIn. So I just want to like kind of break that down. So one thing I would say is when it comes to LinkedIn, it's super important to build and optimize your LinkedIn profile. That's the first thing I'll tell you to do, because the truth is, before you jump into connecting with people, before you jump into creating content and getting those connections and those jobs and making impact, it's very important that you're able to build your profile to a certain point. And the two reasons I'll tell you, and the two reasons for that is, first, it shows credibility. At the end of the day, just being honest, imagine if somebody sends you an email and they just say, oh, I am looking for, maybe somebody sends you an email and say, oh, maybe someone sends you an email and says, my name, they don't even say their name, they just send you an email, I want this or I want that. You can't see, you don't know their name, you don't know where they work, you don't know how many years of experience they have, you don't know anything about them. The truth is, are you likely to answer them? Won't you think like, is this a scam or what's happening? But when somebody sends you an email and they're like, oh, hi, I'm Titi Lokwe, I came across your profile on LinkedIn and I saw that you're interested in this, I'm passionate about this, I have this years of experience, you're more likely to take them seriously. And so it's just the same thing with LinkedIn, right? So when you build your profile to a point where you have filled out every single part of your LinkedIn profile, when you reach out to people and say, oh, please, can I have a chat with you? I'm looking for a job in your company. Can you give me, some tips or whatever? They're more likely to take you seriously. That's just how life is, I would say. So it's super important to build and optimize your LinkedIn profile. And then the second reason I would say is building and optimizing your LinkedIn profile actually helps you on the platform. I don't think many people know this, but when you build out your entire LinkedIn profile and it reaches something called all-star status. So all-star status means you filled out the three most important parts. That's your profile picture, I think, your headline, then maybe your experience, education, just like the regular things, the most important part of your LinkedIn profile. Your LinkedIn profile is like, I think it's up to 6 or 10 more times likely to get views than somebody who just doesn't have those things filled out. So that's something that people don't understand. So sometimes you're like, oh, I'm on LinkedIn and nobody's seeing my profile. It's most likely because you haven't necessarily like filled out all of your profile requirements. And so it's very important to fill it out. And that's why I will spend next 5 minutes going through how to build and optimize your LinkedIn profile. Just to be sure, is everybody still with me? Is what I'm saying, is it making sense? Are you feeling it? Just so that I know that you're with me.
Yes, we are with you.
Okay, amazing, awesome, cool. So yeah, let me just move on to the next thing. So I will run through these things. Like, again, they're very rudimentary, but I think for a lot of, but the thing is, I feel like when it comes to LinkedIn use, right, many people aren't intentional about teaching people how to really go through these steps. And so that's why I really try to go back to the basics, right? And ensure that I'm trying to answer your questions as I go. If you have any questions at any point, please put them in the chat and I will answer them at the end of the session. So the first thing I would go is your name, right? So for your name, it's pretty straightforward, right? You can either use your name and your surname, you can use your name, your other name, and your surname. If you're married, there's actually a provision where you can put your maiden name. So I know some of our sisters that are married probably change their name. If you're known with another name, there's a provision. I love LinkedIn for that. It's super inclusive. There's a place where you can actually put like maybe your former name. You don't even have to be married. If you change your name for any reason, you can put your former name if you're comfortable with that, so that people can find you like with your former name, regardless of like your new name. Another thing I would say is with LinkedIn, please keep your names professional. Like, I don't know whether anybody can relate, but those days of Facebook where like if you wanted to write Titi Loke, so my name is Titi and LOP, and then those days, I don't even know whether we're Americanizing it or something, then we'll write maybe TE, maybe we're like TEA or something. No, please don't do that on LinkedIn. Just put your name as it is, just have your name. Then my advice to everybody is to use a name that is widely known. At the end of the day, you want people to be able to go and search you on LinkedIn and find you. So I'm popularly called Titi Lokwe. Like, I much prefer being called my full name. So for example, for me on LinkedIn, I preferred going as Titi Lokwe, not Titi. People call me Titi sometimes, but it's not my preferred name. And I call myself Titi Lokwe, so I'd rather go with Titi Lokwe Adedokun. For example, you might have, like, I've seen people on LinkedIn who use like who use the provision for maiden names to put like their nickname, right? So I know someone who put his name like his other name Kojo, like in bracket. So there's so many things that you can do when it comes to names. Emojis and names. Again, this is a bit technical. I will not really spend too much time on it. You can put an emoji in your name. It's tricky, but one thing I would say is make sure if you're putting an emoji on your name with your name on LinkedIn, make sure that it's an emoji that is related to maybe who you are. I've seen someone use something like this recycling symbol because they're all about like climate change and green energy and things like that. So I won't spend too much time on that, but I think that that's straightforward. Now, profile photos, super, super important. When you're putting up your profile photos on LinkedIn, again, things like profile photos are super important because usually when someone sees your LinkedIn profile, they see your picture and it's kind of like your first impression to them, I'll be with them. So just make sure that you are, first of all, you don't have to wear a suit. On my profile picture, I didn't wear a suit actually. My profile picture, I wore like a shirt, like actually a lace shirt. So but one thing I'll just say is just make sure that you wear what you would wear to work. So if you're practicing law, like if I was practicing law, I'm most likely like I would most likely like have like a blazer on and maybe even have like my legal collar. Some of my friends have their legal collar on their profile pictures because I mean it's very industry based. Then the other thing I would say is use a high resolution picture. Make sure you use a high resolution picture. Use great lighting and a non-distracting background for your profile picture. Your facial expression is key. If you're a smiler, please smile. If not, it doesn't matter, but just make sure that you look somewhat approachable because people are going to be looking at your profile picture to determine whether they actually want to connect with you or not, besides every other thing that's on your profile. Then another thing I have to say is that your profile picture should look like the current you. So before I used to have like long hair, but I chopped it all off in 2021. So I made sure that my profile picture looks like me because at the end of the day, like when you're getting interviews, I don't want a situation where I got a job over from LinkedIn and then the person now on the virtual or personal interview, they're like, sorry, like you don't look like what we thought you look like. It doesn't matter anyway, but I would say like it doesn't hurt to make you look like the current you. So if you've got a new haircut, if you've got new glasses, whatever. I know for African women, like we like to switch up our hairstyles every now and then. It doesn't mean that you literally have to like change your profile picture when you change your hairstyle, no. But like when you have more like permanent things done to you, like for example, cutting my hair is much more permanent, then like make sure that my picture matches. So please, for your profile pictures, no selfies or group photos. Make sure. So sorry, I'm hearing some feedback, some noise. Thank you so much. Make sure you properly position your picture, your face rather within your photo. And I will say that another thing is frames. So with um, LinkedIn frames are tricky, but I would say I ran an experiment actually like a few months ago about whether or not using frames like open to work have any negative impact. Personally, I would say that they don't, but some people see them negatively. So I would say if you're looking for a job, there's no problem in using open to work. Honestly, it makes no difference. I did that experiment, but at the same time, a few people may actually have like negative. Some people see it negatively, but I mean that's their business, right? So I would just say like if you want to use open to work, please use it. You're very likely to find more jobs and you're likely to get the attention of recruiters um using open to work. So can I use a selfie picture? Again, I mean, if that's all that you have, fine, but I will not recommend it. Honestly, I will say like if you can, you don't have to use like a studio picture. Like before I got my studio pictures taken, like literally last year December, last year November, I was using like a picture that I took in my house with my phone and a ring light, natural lighting or whatever. So I would just say that you can use that. I'm still going to get to the background photo. No worries. What if you're photogenic? Personally, I feel that beauty is in the eye of the beholder. I feel like everybody looks good, in my opinion. So I would not think about that. I'll just make sure that I look professional. Like it actually just meets the requirements in terms of looking professional and all of that. I don't necessarily think being photogenic is necessarily should be the concern, basically. So that's one thing I would say. So let me just move on and so now I want you guys to kind of quickly, again, but I want you guys to look at this photo and kind of analyze these photos. Which ones will you say like they're right? Which ones would you say are wrong? So look at A. Do you think A is good? Do you think B is good? Do you think C is good? Do you think D is good? Do you think E is good? Do you think F is good? So let me know which one you think is like the best photo. Yeah, I can see Kelly saying C is good. Yes, great. That means you have been listening. C is Amazing. C and D, okay. C is great. Okay, so let me just go ahead and tell you why C is the best. So A is a profile, like it's a selfie, and so the arms, it's very, very distracting. B is frowning. It doesn't look approachable at all. Like you don't have to smile, but like the way he looks like he's angry. I don't know. And he's not centered. C is fantastic. He's smiling, he looks professional, he has a very plain background at the back, all of that. Fantastic. D is good, but my problem with D is that a lot is happening at the background. Like, is it green? Is it leaves? So while like it's not a sin necessarily, but I would say like it's preferable to have like a much more plain background. And there are so many tools. There's Canva that you can use to actually remove this kind of background and have a plain background. It's just confusing. Like they are playing, so many people are there. F is super blurry. So that's why I would say like C is definitely the best. You guys are amazing. I hope this is making sense and you are vibing and you're learning this. So let's go for background photos. Now, background photos are amazing. And I know someone asked the question before. So for background photos, I would say, it's a means of expression. It's a place to express yourself and show off your personality. It's a bite-sized introduction to yourself. You can use just like in 2 seconds, you can tell who you are, you can tell like your story. Someone can come to your profile and without going down, they can be so interested to even see the rest of your profile. It can also be a place that shows off your interest. Generally, I would say use high quality images. Make sure that you're using images that are not blurry, all of that, because again, there's so many visuals rather on the platform, and using something that is bold and jumps out will definitely make you stand out from everybody else. Yeah, so these are some examples, right? So these are super, like, I mean, I made these slides a while back, and I'm sure that if you go to their pages, you'd see that they've changed, but these are just some examples. Now, this first person uses this to advertise a LinkedIn live event. So this is a very smart way of using their LinkedIn header. They use it to advertise. So once you go to their profile, you see, oh, they have coffee chat to this person every Wednesdays at this time. Then look at this other person for consulting. When you see their brand, you can see like they say they turn underdogs into winners. You can see their website. And I love this one by Akuswa. Again, these are very old. These are quite old backgrounds, rather background photos. And if you go to their pages, they might have changed, but they had this at some point. So I like hers because hers is, once you see it, you're like, oh, okay. You can see that she cares about community. Obviously, she has African roots. She says so much by like saying so little. Like it's fantastic. So I hope you guys are kind of saying, like, you're kind of saying, oh, I use Canva to make my slides. Canva is amazing. Like it's really, really great. So now let's go to headline. Now your headline is fantastic. Your headline says a lot about you. It's a bite-sized introduction to who you are, and you can put your skills, your interests, your wins, your roles. It's also good for visibility. So people would say, for example, if you have business analyst on your headline, when people search for business analyst on LinkedIn, your name will pop up because you have business analyst on top. So you could also have a call to action. I've seen people that use their headline to say, oh, I'm looking for a job, I'm open to opportunities, text me, whatever. Then the last one is, it can also be tailored to a specific need. So if you're looking for a job, if you're open to roles, you can definitely say that. I should have some examples. Again, there's no formula to writing a headline. You can have it any way you want to have it, as long as it works for you. You can put your achievements or your experiences. You can use emojis, but don't use emojis too much. Like, it's not Facebook. So make sure with emojis you are using them as sparingly as possible. Then keep your headlines very simple, very specific, and use keywords. So if you are interested in like for me, I have social impact and tech on my keyword, like on my headline, because I want when people search for those things, they can find me. And it relates to the kind of experiences that I have. It relates to kind of industries I am active or relevant in, and even the opportunities I'm interested in. So I think I have, yeah. So these are examples, right? So you can see this Ali Abdal. If you're a YouTube person, you know Ali Abdal. So you can see that on his page he has doctor, YouTuber, uses emojis. He says, I teach people to be part-time YouTubers, and you see what I said, like he says what he does. Then you can see Elizabeth Morgan, she says social media. These are quite old, so I'm sure if you go to their profile now, you see that they have changed. But these are just examples of the ways that you can have your header, your headline rather. Now your about section is super important. I think I always say that your about section is like a chance to really show off who you are and your personality. Is a chance to make everybody kind of have that. It's kind of like a Like a trailer. Oh my gosh, yes. It's like a trailer. It's like a 1 minute or 30 seconds trailer to who you are in like words, literally. So for your about section or your summary, some people call it summary, I would say that you can talk about who you are, like who you are as a person. You can talk about what you do, you can talk about what you have to offer, you can talk about what you want from the reader actually. So at some point I remember that in my about section, I had like, or like I'm open to chats about certain things, right? So that's something I want from the reader. In my about section right now, I talk about the fact that I'm looking for an entry level role in this industry. So those are kind of things that you can put in your about section. Also, I would advise anybody to start with a powerful opening and add a call to action. Use keywords, hard skills, and avoid buzzwords. Be authentic, personal, and humble. Tell a story. Again, I know that LinkedIn seems super duper professional, and I get it. But at the same time, there's a lot of value in showing up as your authentic self whilst being professional. I know that at some point, I've honestly I've had so many plays on my LinkedIn about section. Some of them I can't even remember now, but I've really been super expressive. And as long as you're not offending anybody or whatever, or like as long as you're being yourself and you're not being offensive, or like you're not doing anything that is necessarily like illegal, I feel like you can be authentic, you can be personal, and you can tell a story with your LinkedIn about section. Please get your formatting right. I feel like when it comes to a lot of times, like for a lot of people, they tend to say, oh, like they tend to use the third person when they're talking about themselves on LinkedIn, especially with the about section. I personally feel like, why are you like, personally, I always advise people, don't say Titilope is a lawyer. Like, I am a lawyer. Like, you use the word I am. It shows when someone is reading it, it flows better. Like, it's not necessarily like your citation of something. Like, I would just advise you to use like I am in this, I am interested in this, I am passionate in this, rather than using yourself and in a third person and saying, oh, Titilope is passionate about this, Titilope is doing that. I will not advise you to do that at all. I don't necessarily have like examples because that will take time, but I'll advise you that one tip I always tell people is, after this session, I advise that you go to LinkedIn and go and look at the about sections of people that you really like, some of your favorite creators on the platform, or some of your favorite people on the platform. I'll advise that you go and check their LinkedIn about sections and see what you like about it and kind of get a sense of what I'm saying. Again, I'm trying to make sure that I'm on time and so that I stay within the confines of the time limit I was giving. So, but some of the prompts of some of the things that I would like you to think about when you're writing about section include, what do you do currently? Like, what are you doing right now? Then why are you good at what you're doing? That's something that you can actually put in your LinkedIn summary section. What drives you? Like, what are you passionate about? And why are you passionate about it? Those are some of the things that I need you to think about when you're writing your LinkedIn about section. What do you bring to the table? How do you stand out from everybody else? Excuse me. What inspires you? What motivated you to join or change the industry that you're currently in? What are your achievements? Then excuse me, what are your past experiences? What are you known for? How would colleagues or friends describe you? What are the examples of your skills? What are your interests outside of work? I mean, at some point, and I think I still have it, I put on my LinkedIn bio that I have, like, I love baking shows. Like, I am such a baking show like fan. And I put it there, and I've had people message me just because I wrote that I love baking shows, literally. And I remember messaging somebody because they said they liked the type of sandwich, and I was like, oh, I mean, I've never had that kind of sandwich, but I like the type of sandwich either. Trust me, it can be that, like, sometimes it can be literally that on serious, but let's focus anyway. I'm just trying to say that you can be you, and you can talk about things that are not necessarily always about work. So so what do you believe in? What do you really want to know about people, and how would you summarize all that you do? So again, these are just very short examples, things that you can think about when you're writing your LinkedIn about section. Just to be sure, are you guys still following me? Are you guys still with me? Just I just want to be sure that like what I'm saying, is it making sense? Are you feeling it? Are you excited to use LinkedIn? Just let me know in the chat box. I always like to, engage my audience. Okay, I can see Lucy said, yes, is it only Lucy that is here? Okay, I can say, oh yeah, everybody's here. Fantastic. Okay, great. And I know that I'm moving fast. I talk fast on a normal day, and I know, but I really, really want to make sure that we are like within time. But if there's anything you want to go over, just let me know. So now let's go to experience. I will run through this honestly. I would say for experience, make sure you fill your roles, your organization, and the dates. It's very helpful to use your company's name if they're on LinkedIn, because what it does is when people go to your company's page, then they can see you're associated with the company. So for example, if your company is called Coca-Cola, but on LinkedIn, there may be Coca-Cola bottling company. Of course, use Coca-Cola bottling company so that you can use their LinkedIn name basically so that you can show up on their website. Make sure to add your media, website, add projects, documents, or links because it gives you credibility. At the end of the day, it's one thing to say, oh, I did this at this job. It's another thing to say, I did this. Here's a picture. Here's a document. Here's a website. Here's a link. Those things give you a lot of credibility. Make sure to add a description. Use bullet points as well. That's super duper important. Now, for your description, I would say that you can describe your company, you can describe your role at the company, you can add your accomplishments and your tasks and project. You can also add specific skills. So the beautiful thing is now LinkedIn gives you the opportunity to add the skills underneath each of your experiences. Definitely use that. I will tell you guys to go and check out the Google XYZ method. I don't want to spend a lot of time on that, honestly, because it's something that you can see online. I want to focus on other things that I feel like, would be also very helpful. But I would tell you to note down the Google XYZ method and use that. One example I would say, for example, now look at these are examples of things that you can actually put in your description for your LinkedIn experiences. So you can say, oh, one second place out of 50 teams doing this or that by working with 2 colleagues to develop an app that synchronizes mobile calendars. The point is just to make sure that you are optimizing your experiences as much or as well as you can. Again, I don't want to spend so much time on this because you literally go online and you find some of these things I already mentioned, like the Google XYZ method. So education, similarly, fill out your university information, use correct dates, fill out your activities and societies, can add your grades, your coursework, dissertation, awards, volunteering, leadership, etc. And what that does is sometimes the way you're going to connect with somebody, and I'll get to that very soon, is through your university, through going to the same university. And so having all those information filled out is super duper important. Oh, okay. Okay, I've been told that. Okay, cool. Okay. So let's continue, let's move on. So there are other parts of LinkedIn that I'm not going to touch on one after the other. They are super important, and if you can get them filled out, kudos to you, but they're not as important as the other parts I've mentioned. And I think the other parts I've mentioned, once you filled out your about, your headline, your profile picture, your education, and your experience, I think you get all-star status. So while it's important to fill out these ones, I would say that you can take your time, but make sure you first fill out all those other ones I mentioned, because that's what is going to give you visibility on that platform. So if you have licenses and certificates, make sure to add them. If you have volunteer experiences, you can put them on LinkedIn. Skills and endorsements are super important as well. So if you have certain skills, you can get your co-workers or your colleagues, your classmates, people that know you and have worked with you, you can get them to endorse your skills. You can get them to give you recommendations. And the reason why it's important, again, it goes back to credibility. So I'm sure you guys don't know this, but do you know that if you are endorsed, if your skills are endorsed by, I think above 10 people, up to 10 to 20 people or something, LinkedIn is actually going to show that you are highly skilled at this. So for example, if your skill is research or legal writing, right? And then you get 20 people who have worked with you, who know you very well, to actually endorse that legal writing skill on LinkedIn. What's going to happen is that when people go to your page, it will show that Titilope is highly skilled at this. It shows that you're highly skilled at legal writing or research. So it's stuff that people don't necessarily know, but it really makes a lot of difference when it comes to credibility. Recommendations are also good as well, because when somebody writes your recommendation, it's again just goes to show that you are who you say you are. It's one thing to say I am this, but when someone sees that, oh, your co-worker, somebody who worked with you in university or at your former job has left this recommendation for you, and it's a good recommendation, they are more likely to take you more seriously and believe you. That's just how life works. So the last thing I would say is courses. Make sure if you did any course, you can put them your coursework at university, online courses. Those are things that are also important. You can also put your awards. You can put the publications that you've written. You can put your languages and projects. So those I would say are the main things I want you to consider. no, those are not the main things actually. Those are the other things that you can consider putting on your LinkedIn profile. The other things that you can turn on, you can turn off creator mode. So now if you're very serious about creating content, I will strongly advise you to consider turning on creator mode to make sure that you are getting the best the best out of the platform. Another thing you can add is you can add an introduction video. People don't know this, but you can actually add a video to your LinkedIn page, like a cover video. It's actually a very good, like it's a really good feature that I'll advise that you use if you can. Definitely you can add a voiceover. So a voiceover, LinkedIn did this thing like a few years ago where you can actually put the pronunciation of your name. And that thing has saved me a lot of times, because if I'm having chats with people, one thing I take seriously is people's names, especially like being African and Nigerian. I know that, there's a lot of conversations on that is another day's conversation, but I really take knowing how to pronounce people's names as best as I can seriously. And so typically I will go to the person's LinkedIn profile and see if there's that pronunciation of their name and try to learn it before I show up at the meeting or whatever. So if you are also if you're very keen about the way your name is pronounced, you can definitely go to LinkedIn and actually put like the pronunciation of your name. I have mine on my profile. So another thing, you can also use LinkedIn newsletters. Fantastic if you are trying to create content and trying to get some momentum. Groups are also good. I actually run a group called Opportunities for Women on LinkedIn, where basically all I do is just like send opportunities and jobs that I see every day to the platform. So there are so many groups that you can take advantage of. One thing I always tell people is another hack to using LinkedIn is like using your settings to make sure that you have the best experiences. So when I speak to people who use LinkedIn, one of the complaints that they have, or people who are new to LinkedIn, or people who are trying to understand LinkedIn, one of the complaints that they have is they get too many notifications. And so it's super annoying. So one thing I tell them is turn off your notifications and put only the things that you need, because trust me, for me, like I would say the day like I turn off I didn't turn off everything, but I turned off email notifications for things that didn't matter. And at the end of the day, allowed me to see the things that matter. Because if you're not careful, LinkedIn wants to send you notifications on everything that doesn't even concern you. So you need to make sure that you are editing your notifications to ensure that you're seeing the things that matter the most. I don't know if anybody can relate on that notifications thing. So yeah. Sorry guys, my voice is taking a hit today, but just to make sure that you guys are still with me and everything is still making sense to you, just let me know in the chat. We have about 13 slides left, so I feel like we're still really good. Just is everybody still with me? I just want to be sure, because I know that some people said they just joined, they didn't hear or something.
Yes, we're with you.
Okay, fantastic, amazing. Okay, cool. Thank you guys. So yeah, so I would say that, so just before jumping like into the next thing, right? One thing I need you guys to understand is like we're building out your profile on LinkedIn. It's not a day's job. It's not even a week's job or a month's job. Like if you look at my profile, so people will look at my profile and be like, oh, your profile is great. Your profile is well built out, things like that. And I agree. But one thing I always tell them is I did not build my profile in one day. I didn't even build it in 1 month or 2 months or even 1 year. That's like literally like me building my profile since 2019 to 2023. That's almost 5 years, 4 years. So all that you've seen is like literally 5 years work. So I would like update my bio or my about section like every few months. I will change things every few months. I will change my profile pictures every few months. So I want you to feel inspired to like go and obviously work on your profile, but at the same time I don't want you to feel overwhelmed thinking that you necessarily have to have a perfect profile by Saturday. It doesn't work that way. It's a constant work of progress where you go back, because the truth is you're growing as an individual. Excuse me please. You're growing as an individual, and you're growing in your career and your personal development. So certainly some things that you even put on your profile will change. There's nothing you can do about it. It will definitely change. Even your about section will change. That's just how life is. So make sure to give yourself grace and make sure that you're not pressuring yourself to fill out everything today. Like it makes sense, of course, like try and fill out the 3 most important what I told you at first, like the 4 or 3 most important sections to get the about the all-star status, so that you can get more visibility. But I would say, like, for the other ones, I would advise that you space it out and not put too much pressure on yourself to ensure that you have the perfect profile, because even the meaning of perfect will always change. So I would advise that you build your profile, over a long period of time, rather than just building it and putting so much pressure on yourself to get it right now, because it doesn't work that way. For many of us, it's something that we've built over the years, over months, literally. So that's one thing I wanted to mention. So the next thing I'll go to is building meaningful connections on LinkedIn. And I'll say that, that's very important as well, because now you've built out your profile. It's time to go into the LinkedIn and really, really, connect with people and make sure you're getting the best from the platform. So the first thing I would say is, don't be scared to connect with people. And these are, like, I think from now on, I'll just give like general tips on certain things. So in terms of making meaningful connections with people, I would say definitely connect with people. Don't be scared to make the first move. Be intentional, and when you're connecting with people, find common ground. So connect with people that are in the same industry that you are in. Connect with people that went to the same university that you went to and are doing something that you'd like to do. Just be very intentional as you're connecting with people, and sometimes maybe be unintentional too. I remember telling my sister like a few weeks ago that I literally connected with some people that I know that we have zero common threads, but I just connected with them because I liked something about them, and that's just how it is. So there will obviously be spaces for things like that, but generally connect with people based on common grounds. Be very intentional. And let me just give you a personal example, right? So at the point where I knew I wanted to pivot to social impact, I have like a law background, and for most of my legal career, I was either doing like international law or like international development. And so the time where I knew, okay, I needed to be in social impact, one of the things I did was I went to like follow and connect with as many people that were in social impact as possible. And what that did for me was I was seeing a lot of content on social impact, first of all. I was seeing a lot of opportunities on social impact. And it really, really, I would say like it really, really optimized my LinkedIn experience for me. And so that's why I want you to be super intentional about your LinkedIn connecting and who you're connecting with. So okay. Let me just check. I will send this slide to the organizers so they can definitely get it across to you. So the other thing I would say is engage with people. LinkedIn itself, like generally, and even the algorithm loves when you engage with people. So you need to give the energy you like to receive. So if you want people to engage with you, best believe you have to engage with them first. That's what I'm saying about connecting. If you want people to connect with you, connect with them as well. So that's one thing I would say. Don't think that with LinkedIn, you have to really get the best of LinkedIn, you need to put yourself out there as much as you can. So I would just advise that you make sure that you're giving the energy you'd like to receive. When you're connecting with people, definitely send personalized connection requests rather. So when you send a connection to somebody, especially somebody that you want to have a chat with, or a recruiter that maybe you're interested in the job that they've posted, don't just connect and go. Like, actually send them a message. LinkedIn actually has that feature where you can send them a message while you're connecting, and you can say, oh, hi, my name is Titi Lope, I'm a lawyer and I'm interested in this. I saw your page and I saw that we have this and these things in common, and I'd love to follow your journey and engage with your content. It's super simple, super straightforward, but yet you've told the person in a few lines why you want to be in their network. And the truth is, they are more likely to actually accept your connection and build that relationship with you. The other thing I would say is follow up as well. So after you've sent someone a personalized connection request and they've accepted, make sure to follow up with the person and say, oh, thank you for accepting my request. This and that, I'm excited to follow your work or whatever. Then super important, give value. When you're connecting on LinkedIn and you're connecting with people generally, make sure that you are actually giving value to people. I think when it comes to life, a lot of times people just want to take, and take. It's very important to make sure that you are also giving some sort of value to people. So it could be sending up opportunity. There are people that I've never had a chat with on LinkedIn, but I know the kind of value that they give me based on maybe being in my community, supporting my work. And so when I see something that will interest them, I will tag them to it. Like, I know a couple of people who are interested in social impact. Some are lawyers, some are not. And like literally yesterday, there's somebody that, I connected with. I've never had a conversation with them, like a chat, like virtual chat, but we've chatted like with DMs. And I know their interest. They have like a newsletter that helps law students, and they're always like putting opportunities. And so typically, like yesterday when I saw the World Bank has a new internship open for anybody across the world, I add them to it because obviously I have value as well. So that's just like a little thing that you can do, that you make sure that really helps you to give value, and make sure that you are getting the best of the platform. Because again, life isn't just about taking. You also have to give. That's just how it is. So also, one thing I always say is, please pace yourself. Don't attempt. And I feel like a lot of conversations are coming up about that. You see so many people saying that they connected with 100 people and they chat in a month. Me, Titilope, I can't do that. And I don't even attempt to do that because it's not possible. So don't compare yourself to anybody on LinkedIn. The fact that somebody says they're having 10 million coffee chats every week doesn't mean that you should do that too, if you know that it doesn't work for you. I know it doesn't work for me. So don't attempt to connect with everybody on LinkedIn if you know that you easily get overwhelmed, or you don't need that. I would say, again, be intentional rather than connecting with everybody. Why don't you be intentional with the people you're connecting with and people you're asking for chats and asking for stuff from, rather than just going and meeting everybody? I personally would rather take a targeted approach than taking the approach where I'm just like sending literally everything to everybody and making sure that it hits one person. No, I would rather just be very intentional about studying who I want to connect with and then following up with the person. Even if I only have 2 chats in a month, as long as those two chats, maybe it brings me an opportunity, it brings me a job, it brings me a community or whatever, I'd rather do that than trying to do that with 100 people in a month. I will burn out, literally. So just to be sure, are you guys still with me? Are you guys still listening with me? Can you relate to everything that I'm saying? So yeah, so what conversations can you have with senior networks beyond asking for jobs and greetings? You can definitely have conversations about their interests or about their work. I think with senior people, most senior people, so for example, imagine if you're connecting with somebody who's like a senior academic, right, in STEM. Usually senior academics will definitely write papers. Why don't you read their paper and actually have a chat with them on their paper? Trust me, they'll be super excited to talk to you, because like you actually went the extra amount to read about what I've done. Or even if it's not a paper, it could be maybe something that you just unveiled at work and you went to go and read about it. And so you're able to have a conversation with them based on what they've done. Or it could even be, you can look through their LinkedIn profile and see their experiences, and you can have questions based on the experiences that they've had. So I hope that helps, but that's something I wanted to just quickly address. And then obviously be safe on LinkedIn. LinkedIn, don't lose your guard. I feel like when it comes to LinkedIn, people think everything on LinkedIn is legit. Everything on no. LinkedIn, like every single social media, TikTok, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, has its own crypts and scammers. I've had people literally, like, I've had somebody ask me for my passport details from LinkedIn, and I met the person at a virtual LinkedIn event. Of course, I didn't send it to the person. I blocked the person straight away, because how? Like, please, no. I can never give you that. So again, LinkedIn has a lot of scammers and creeps. If it looks too good to be true, it is definitely too good to be true. Like, people are weird. Like, if you're not comfortable giving people your phone number, I would advise that you can have like this kind of Zoom calls, right? I remember one of the first times I was having a call with somebody on LinkedIn, and that was like 2019, 2020. And the person wanted to like have a call with me through WhatsApp, and I wasn't comfortable giving the person my WhatsApp number. So I reached out to one of my friends who had used LinkedIn way more than I had. And she told me that if you're not comfortable, you can ask the person to, have a Google meeting, because that way you're not sharing any like personal information except your email, or have a Zoom. And the person said no. And I was just like, okay, bullet dodged, because it's just weird. Like, I'm not comfortable giving you my personal phone number. I don't know you from anywhere. So why don't you want to have a chat on Zoom or Google Meet? So again, like, LinkedIn has its scripts, has its scammers. If you feel very weird, follow your guts and follow your instincts. Don't hesitate to block anybody, even if anybody that's moving anyhow. Please just do the needful. That's what I would say. I'm sure you might not have expected to hear this, but it's something I definitely have to say when it comes to using LinkedIn. So we have just a few slides left. So with messaging on LinkedIn, I would just say that you do your research when you're messaging people. Don't go and message somebody blindly. Make sure that you actually did your research about them. Know why you're reaching out to them. Like, know why. then keep it short and simple. When you're sending like personalized messages, I think you only have 140 characters anyway. But if you have LinkedIn Premium, I know that you can reach out to people as with LinkedIn Premium. But again, just keep it short and simple. Have a clear ask when you're messaging somebody. So don't message somebody and beat around the bush. Like if it's that your ask is you want to connect to them, say it. If you want to have a chat with them about their current role, say it. If you think they can make an introduction to somebody in their company, say it. Like be very specific what you want, but make sure that when you don't know somebody from anywhere, you're not asking them for something that is so big, because again, people are busy, people have lives. So make sure when you're reaching out to people, you're not asking them to, like, for example, like review your resume, do an interview, something for you. And nobody necessarily has that type of time. People are nice and they may help, but it doesn't. I would just say, like, just be very cautious about what you're asking from people. Honestly, try to ask no, I won't embarrass minimum. Obviously, ask what you need, but make sure that you're respectful of their time and their skills and their energy, and obviously paid labor. Like, there's a lot of conversations about unpaid labor right now. So make sure that whatever you're asking them, you are very mindful about the fact that, you know, they're doing you a favor, yes, but like this is something that, especially when it's something that they charge for. So just make sure, I can't necessarily tell you what to do, but just make sure you have that at the back of your mind. Also, don't take a denied request or no response personal. People again have so many things that are going on in their lives. I know it's easier said than done, yes, and I agree, but the more you kind of don't take it personal, the more you get better at it. So don't take when someone tells you no, or when somebody doesn't respond, don't take it personally at all. I remember a few years ago, I reached out to somebody to speak at an event I was organizing for young African law students. That was a few years ago. And the person was super popular on LinkedIn, an amazing, fantastic lawyer with so many accolades. And the person didn't respond to me. I remember, like, I followed up, you know, the person didn't respond to me. Again, I don't take things personal, and so I let it go. And then a few months after, the person made a post about how they lost their father. Like, during that period, they literally were going through so much. And at that point, I said, you know what, like, I 100% understand why he didn't respond to me, because like it was the list of his problems, and I understood. So it's just tell you that people have, so even if they show up the most excited or whatever on LinkedIn, they're always posting, you don't know what's going on in people's lives. So just make sure that you're respectful of that. So I can see some questions and I'll try to address them when I'm done, because I really want to go through all of these. So I'll just read one of these things. So for example, an example that you can use to reach out to somebody is, Bola, your professional journey really stood out to me. I'm very interested in building my career as a journalist. Since you've been in that position, would you have some time to offer me a bit of advice in pursuing this? I would really appreciate a brief call at your convenience. Another example is, Calvin, your posts on tech law have been really insightful. I've interned for a few startups in this space and I'm excited about my own next steps, but I definitely could use some guidance from an experienced professional like you. Would you be open to chatting about this? Now, again, these examples are super simple, super short, but they get the message across. Like, do you guys understand what I'm saying? Just, you can put it in the chat. Like, do you think that these messages actually if you got this, for example, would you understand what they wanted? And would you be able to kind of see why they're reaching out to you in just a few words? Just to make sure that you are with me and you're following what I'm saying. Hopefully I finish in the next like 5 minutes, because I really do not want to take too much time. Just let me know, like, do you think that this message makes sense? Is this something that if you got, you would like be like, okay, yes, I understand what this person is asking for? And I will definitely, like, if I were in that position, I will definitely respond. Just let me know in the chat. Oh, is it that nobody understands? Sorry guys, I love to be very engaged with my audience, and I love to know that you guys are following me and you're understanding what I'm saying. And so if there's maybe something that I haven't necessarily touched on, okay, awesome, great. Thank you. So yeah, so these are just other examples rather, and I wouldn't get to them too much because of time. Yeah, so we're in the last part of our work, or of our session rather. Oh gosh, my voice is really like giving up on me today, but I hope you can really hear what I'm saying. So in terms of creating valuable content on LinkedIn, right, one advice I will give you is to pick a niche. The truth is, you can't write about everything and anything. some people do it, but the people who have had the most success when it comes to creating content, it's people who have been able to narrow down, okay, I'm going to write about tech, I'm going to write about social impact, I'm going to write about, women's rights. So I would advise that you pick 3 to 5 things that you're passionate about, that you have experience in, or that you are interested in, and write about those 3 to 5 things. Don't write about everything, honestly. I mean, once in a while you dabble into other things, but you want to be so, like, you want to create like not to build credibility, so that when people see certain things, they're able to associate them with you. So for example, when people see things on social impact, women's rights, and technology, or like tips, like they immediately almost always think of me, because those are things I write about on LinkedIn. So that's just something I want you to consider. So one thing I would say is everybody has a story. Don't think that, I think when it comes to creating content on LinkedIn, everybody thinks, what do I have to say? I don't think so. I feel like everybody has a story, because regardless of wherever you are, wherever in life, whatever your experiences are, nobody is like you. So even if maybe 5 of you were in the same class, the way you experience certain things will be super different from the other person. And so I want you to be able to, understand that you have a story to tell and you have something to share. So it's a practical example I would say is write down a list of 5 to 10 most memorable things that have ever happened to you, and then now look at those things through the lenses of your interest. So try and look at how those things fit in your interest and see if you can make a post about them on LinkedIn. That's just an example. So, and another thing I would say is consistency. So consistency is super important when posting on LinkedIn. I would say, well, so now I would put a disclaimer in what I wrote here, which is show up every single day. I do not necessarily believe that you should show up every single day, but I would say that show up every single day that you set for yourself. So that's the thing. When it comes to consistency on LinkedIn, people think that you are consistent when you're posting every single day. No, if you know that what's going to work for you is posting once a week, then post once a week. If you know what's going to work for you is posting 3 times a week, then post 3 times a week, and show up all those days that you post. Rather than like choosing, like, I will post every single day of the week. I know that it's not practical for your work time or your schedule. I would say look for what works for you best, whether that's posting once a week, posting every day, posting twice a day, posting 3 times a week, whatever, and stick to that. So that's how I would define consistency. So it's not necessarily showing up every single day. It's more of showing up every time that you told yourself you will show up. And then in terms of creating content, there's so many ways to go about it. You can decide to batch create. So batch create is people who, they create the entire content for the week in one day. Some people will take Saturday like this. They'll create the entire content for the entire week for LinkedIn, and then they'll just post. Some people, some people would rather, sit down and maybe 30 minutes before their posting time, they will write something. Some people have topics some people have content calendars for like a month where they have topics and just pick out from topics and write about it. Again, I can't go too in depth into that because I know that we're out of time, but I still want to finish within the next 15 minutes. So I still have time to answer your questions. Excuse me. So just make sure that you do what works for you, basically. Again, I will just emphasize that. Again, I'm going to share my slides with the organizers. So one thing I would say is engage with people. Like, LinkedIn is a two-way street. I think I've mentioned it before. People don't know this, but the more you engage with other people's content, the more visibility your content gets. It's not me, it's science. I don't know how they set up the algorithm, but that's what the algorithm does. And so when you're actually like commenting thoughtfully to people's content and you're engaging with people, you are more likely to also have visibility for your content. And trust me, I've gotten opportunities just from just from commenting with people. I've literally gotten, what am I saying? I've literally gotten opportunities from commenting on people's content, literally. So you also can do that as well. Gosh, I should have brought like a bottle of water beside me, and it's too far to, like, I can't get water right now. But yeah. So that's definitely something that you should take cognizance of. Another thing I would say is be authentic. I got water. Be authentic, be unapologetically you. Please excuse me. That was needed. Now be authentic, be yourself. I think when it comes to LinkedIn, people want to show up as their best selves, which I don't disagree. I think with every social media, everybody wants to post the best of themselves. and I understand where you're coming from. But at the same time, the most successful people on LinkedIn have honestly just showed up and been their best selves. Like from people like Akosua to myself to so many other people that I can mention. These people have always like come up and told their stories and their experiences, and they showed up as themselves. Obviously, you're showing up as a refined version of you, but at the same time, it's very important to be yourself and show up as you as you can show up. But at the same time, safety is very important. And I'll just go back to saying that, one thing I always say is if there's anything that you don't want anybody to know, like there's no reason why you're sharing that on any social media, even if it's LinkedIn or whatever. So obviously be very smart about it. You may not want to share certain things because of your privacy concerns, maybe because of even your personal safety as well. Obviously take that into cognizance and, do what you must, but show up as authentic as you can show up. With LinkedIn, obviously use high quality media. So use photos, videos, documents, slides, these things. So helps with like visibility, and they also help to bring a richness to your content that maybe posting only words may not necessarily bring. Then for all your posts, I would say have a call to action. A call to action is important. Like, what do you want people to take away from your post? Is it to think about something, to answer a question, to comment their experiences? It helps to have a call to action. Then generally, with anything that has to do with typing or words, refinement is key. So use your white spaces, use your spell checks. I remember there was a point in my life where I realized I was making a lot of spelling errors because life is lifing, adulting is adulting, and I saw that I was making some very weird mistakes that I didn't used to make. And as someone who like prides herself in like understanding, like being like very present, it was very jarring to me that I would like read through something and then I'll go back and I'll say that, oh my god, I missed this. And so what did I do? I installed Grammarly on my phone because I was like, it's obvious that as I'm growing older, I obviously have so many things on my brain. My brain is working like obviously times whatever, and I just sometimes I miss things. And so having something like Grammarly installed on my phone and on my laptop is saving me so much work, because something I couldn't catch, Grammarly will catch. So that's just like something I would tell you to consider. Again, I'm so sorry for this going over. I will soon be drawing. I'm like in the last few slides. One thing I would say is take content creation on LinkedIn super serious, offer value. One thing I'm very big on is offering value on LinkedIn. I try to offer as much value as I can, whether it's sharing something that I know or giving something that I do away for free. That's just me anyway. No, don't be scared to create something new. You can create a hashtag, you can do a series. I remember one of my first big things I ever did on LinkedIn was like a series in 2020. And basically the series was called Project One Question, and the idea was to have like a forum through LinkedIn comments where people could come and ask questions on work, life, studies, whatever, and get answers. Was it successful? Well, it was okay. But it was one of the few times I ever did something that was new on the platform, and I know that a lot of people really learned from it. A lot of people that were commenting were actually people that knew me personally, right? But at the end of the day, I don't regret it, and I intend to do something like that again this year, like almost 3 years after. I want to do something like that again. But it was one of the first times I ever did something that was different and something that was new and something that was truly valuable on the platform. I remember also in 2020, I think I also did another series, which was a series where I think I interviewed 8 professionals and asked them one question, and they got to tell me like an answer to the question about like their work experience. And I did that on LinkedIn as well. Nobody was paying me to do those things, but for me, it was super important to give value to people and share something that I knew or something that other people knew to everybody at large, basically. So thankfully we're almost done. For content ideas, these are just some ideas that you can use to create content. I would say you should share your experience and your memories. You can share your thoughts and your opinions. You can answer and ask questions. You can celebrate your accomplishments. You can be happy to announce stuff. You can celebrate the accomplishments of other people besides yourself. You can also recycle posts from like LinkedIn and okay, well, sorry, this is avoiding. Sorry, this is avoid. Let me go back. Let me deal with this. So for avoid recycling posts. Now, recycling post means that like you're posting the same thing on LinkedIn over and over and over again. I see a lot of creators do that, and personally, I'm not a fan of that. Obviously, you can post about the same thing a few times, but I feel like when you're posting about the same thing every week and you're not even changing it up a little bit, personally, I don't like it. So I would tell you to avoid it. But you can recycle posts from, like, say maybe you posted something on Twitter and you think that it would work for LinkedIn, feel free to do that. Obviously, avoid posting or commenting about inappropriate things. Be very careful, because your future employers are on that platform. Future people that want to give you jobs and opportunities are there. And the internet never forgets. The internet leaves a trail. Don't do that. Don't steal anybody's content without giving them credit. Don't even steal anybody's content at all. Say you even want to, like, be inspired or paraphrase or whatever, make sure to credit them. Also, don't share any information you'd like to keep private. Yes, LinkedIn is a professional network, but I've seen people literally put their CVs out and they have their house address, they have their email, they have their phone number. Somebody can steal your identity with all of that, honestly, because they have your email, they have your house address, they have your picture, they have everything. So LinkedIn is still social media. Make sure you understand that, and make sure that whatever you're doing, you're being safe. So that's one thing I would say. Yeah, so another thing I would just say is, with LinkedIn comes a lot of imposter syndrome. With LinkedIn, I mean, I've also, like, gone through all those things where I would show, like, on LinkedIn, LinkedIn a joke that people make about LinkedIn is, like, LinkedIn is for people who are, like, achievers and successful people, and that can get to people a lot, because sometimes you may feel like certain things aren't going well in your life, and then you log on to LinkedIn and everybody on your page has gotten a new job, and everybody on your page has gotten this shiny new opportunity, and you may feel like, what about me, right? So I would say your concerns are valid. Imposter syndrome is a thing, but how I would just advise that you deal with it is understanding that the fact that this person has gotten this job or gotten this opportunity means that you too can, and you should rather like what's the word? You should rather use that as as something that would inspire you, rather to get this opportunity yourself. So for me, I like to look at when someone has announced something as like encouragement that I too can get this thing. And even more practically, you can even like reach out to these people on LinkedIn, or even check their LinkedIn experiences to see, oh, what did they do to get into this position? Like, is there like a school, is there a course that they did that I too can do? Like, honestly, it's so much more than, kind of feeling down, which is valid. Typically you feel down, but then the point is, after you felt down, how do I move forward and how do I move on from this? Sometimes you take breaks from LinkedIn, trust me, especially when you use the platform very actively. There have been times where I'd had to step back, right? Because I had like something, because I had like something to do. So I remember when I was writing my final exams in university, I took a break from LinkedIn for a while. When I had my final exams in law school, I took a break from LinkedIn for a while. Sometimes where I felt super overwhelmed and I had so many things on my plate, I took a break from LinkedIn. But the point is, I always came back, and I always came back stronger. So don't feel less than or feel bad for being like, feeling somehow or just feeling overwhelmed with the entire platform. Is super valid. But I would just say is do what's best for you, whether that looks like, taking a step back, whether that looks like even like blocking certain people. Like me, I will tell you as it is. That's just the way I am. I will tell you as it is. Like, if there's something that you're saying that you feel like is affecting you mentally, I would advise that you remove yourself from that situation. So just do what's best for you and prioritize your mental health, prioritize your well-being, and make sure that you understand that at the end of the day, like, you matter. Like, besides any platform, whatever, you are the most important in this equation. So you need to take care of yourself first. And yeah, that's one thing I would say. So yeah, that's pretty much it. One thing I would just say in rounding up is, you might wonder, like, why am I talking about like creating content on LinkedIn? The truth is, creating content on LinkedIn makes you get the best out of LinkedIn. People have found me and my work based on the content that I've created. People find you, like, for me, like, more people find my content before they even find me. And so creating content is a way to really put yourself out there and give yourself opportunities, basically. And by posting content that are relevant, that are valuable, more people are able to see you show up on the platform. Then they'll go and check your profile, and then you start to get these opportunities and these jobs and these things that you want. Recruiters are constantly looking for people who are showing up on the platform. Besides, filling out your experiences and things like that, it really sets you out or sets you above the rest. So that's one thing I would definitely tell you to consider. So yeah, that's pretty much it. If you have any questions, please let me know on the chat platform, and I will definitely answer. Again, I really, really apologize for going over time. But I hope that this has been super helpful. So is it worth it to subscribe to paid LinkedIn? So I would say definitely. I would say definitely it's worth it. I have used paid LinkedIn, and I would say like the difference to me is very clear. So for one, I'm able to see like everybody who looks at my profile, and that's for me, that's an information I want to know. Besides that, I'm able to text anybody. I'm able to run very long searches on LinkedIn without being limited. I'm also able to message anybody on the platform, which trust me always comes in handy without being connected to them. So I would definitely say, paid LinkedIn is worth it. But the great thing about LinkedIn is that LinkedIn gives like, I think a 30-day or like a 1-month free premium subscription. So if you are thinking about LinkedIn premium, right, I would advise that you do the 6 month LinkedIn premium subscription and see how it is, see whether it makes any difference, because people will say otherwise, and that's what they say. So I would say check it out first, do it free for like 30 days and see what difference it makes. I do know that for like, at least for me as a Nigerian, it's a bit expensive. So I know that LinkedIn usually has like some programs where they give like free LinkedIn premium subscriptions actually. So try and find something like that and see if you can take advantage of it. I know they were doing a student program at some point. I don't know if everybody in Africa can use it. I'm not sure. I know that they recently rounded up. They had a free LinkedIn premium service for journalists at some point. So just make sure you do that research and see if you can even get it for free. Because I do know like it's expensive. It's like something like $30 per month. It's good if you can afford it, but if you can't, there are definitely other ways that you can be able to use LinkedIn premium, without paying all of the money or like paying any of the money. So check that out. So what if you support controversial topics? Would it be ideal to engage with the content? That's a good one. So in terms of controversial topics, right? Again, I'll just say like I don't necessarily know, because controversial topics are very, very polarized. Like what is a controversial topic? What's controversial to me may not be controversial to you. So for me, I regularly make posts on women's rights and feminism, which is controversial. But to me, I don't see them as controversial. But for some other people, they may not necessarily be able to talk about things like that. Yeah, so I would say depending on how you want to be seen on the platform, right? Again, what I said about safety at the beginning and doing what's best for you. If you think that being vocal about these topics would cause some detriment for you in some way, maybe you may, again, I won't tell you what to do, but maybe you want to tread cautiously, right? But then at the other, if you feel like even if it's going to like cause some sort of detriment or whatever for you, you don't care and you're okay with that, by all means, like, go for it, right? So that's one thing I would say. Like, for me, like, a lot of my content is feminism, like that. And and honestly, I realized that anybody who checks me out on LinkedIn, I even want you to know that I'm interested in, like, that's what I talk about. So there's no even mistake there. So again, I hope this helps, because again, I can't really tell you what to do. I will just tell you to do what's best for your situation right now, right? So depending, like, for example, if you're like in a country where that talking about these things may not necessarily be the best, and you're trying to get a job in certain places that that will be a problem. If you feel like the job is much more better, like if you feel like the job is much more important to you than talking about things like that, maybe you should go for what you think is best for you. I don't know if you understand what I'm trying to say. I'm just trying to say that at the end of the day, there's no yes or no, white or black answer. It's just doing what's best for you in that moment, whether that's prioritizing your safety, whether that's prioritizing using your voice. We need to be able to like make those choices and weigh those pros and cons. For me as a person, I'm very vocal what I believe in on the platform. But even with that, I'm still not going to share all of my private information, because I value my privacy at the end of the day. So it's not a yes or no answer. It's do what's best for you. I hope that helps. Does anybody have any other question that they would like me to answer? See you at LinkedIn. Yay. I'm so glad. Like, I hope you guys are like, I hope you guys are actually like very empowered, and like, and I hope you guys feel inspired and empowered to like go and like use LinkedIn. Because like the thing is, I've had this kind of classes like a lot. And not everybody actually goes back and uses the platform. So I really hope that you guys can actually go back and use the platform, because we can have a conversation for 24 hours and it's not going to make any difference if you don't go out there and use it. Like, you will make mistakes, you have second thoughts. It will be scary, but then the point is, once you start and you keep going back to it, it gets better and better and better. I remember the first few times I made posts on LinkedIn, I would literally like take my LinkedIn post and read everything word for word to my family members. All of them, they'll sit down and listen to me because they had to tell me whether it made sense. And I did that for the first few times, but now I don't do that anymore. I just go and post what I want to post. So trust me, it gets better and better and better as time goes on. And the most important thing is, yes, you've heard, but will you like go and do it, what I've said? And again, like, there's so many resources online that beyond me. You go to LinkedIn itself, has so many helpful articles, so many helpful courses on LinkedIn. LinkedIn has like a course platform, LinkedIn Learning. There's so many amazing courses that you can use. There are so many creators who have created courses. So everything I actually told you guys today, I actually created a course on it. That is actually for free for anybody who wants it. Let me just put the link in the chat. I actually have to find the link. Just in case you want to kind of go back to it. It's called Get Into LinkedIn. I will also share it with your okay, let me just stop share. I will also share it with the organizers. Let me try and find it. I don't know if it will work, but let me just try and find it and see. Yeah, so it's called Get Into LinkedIn with Lope at Didopo. It's pretty much it's basically everything I went through in the course, but it's much more like specific and like goes much more in depth. And there's a lot of, again, you know me, I love interactives, so I will ask questions and there are things that you're supposed to answer just to make sure that you're getting the best from this session. So I think we've pretty much answered all the questions. If there's something else that I'm not answering, let me know. Okay, so I can see someone that is saying that she's been seeing recruiters and people viewing her profile, but no one has given her any offer. Okay, so I would say, like, again, like, if some people are like, if you see that people are viewing your profile, right, it means you're doing something good, first of all. So it means that your profile looks good enough that they're actually like opening your profile, but there's a particular reason why they're not sending the offer. So maybe it means that you need to go back to the drawing board and like work more on ensuring that those experiences and those skills actually really come out and you're showing off. So by example, what I was saying about a lot of credibility and proof. So do you have recommendations on your profile? Have you used the Google XYZ method to really amplify those experiences that you have in those jobs? Have you listed out your skills? Have you gotten endorsements for your skills? Have you attached links and pictures and websites and documents to all those your experiences? That's what's going to make them stay. So, I mean, you've done something right for them to even be viewing your profile, but you need to go a step further by, going back to ensure that, you've been able to actually lock in that interest that they have in you. So, what's the best way to pitch on LinkedIn? I feel like we've already gone through that. Yeah, I think that's pretty much it. So, yeah, that's all. Thank you guys so much for being here today and staying here till, even though we went over time. Again, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me on LinkedIn. I will definitely try my best to answer. So, yeah, thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much, Titilope. And guys, just go to LinkedIn and type Titilope Adedokun, and you will see her pop up and interact with her. Yeah, for more information. She's very friendly on LinkedIn. Actually, even me, I'm just meeting her for the first time on this platform. Just saw on LinkedIn. Actually, there's a text that there's an email. I think there was a session that she was organized by the LinkedIn firm, and that is how I go to meet her. Then I went to LinkedIn and just talked to her, telling her that I've got some young people interested in knowing more about LinkedIn, and that is how she agreed to come on this platform. Yeah, so thank you very much, Titilope, and this was very insightful, even for me. I'll go back to the platform and see how to optimize my profiles and engage more so that we get more opportunities. Yeah. So for those of you asking about the presentation, I hope she's going to share with me. Then I share with you people, and also the link again. Probably maybe you'll text it to me on email so that we don't lose it on the chat. And then there's also another thing. There are those opportunities you also share. Probably if you can also share with us. But again, for those of you who will be following her on LinkedIn, you always get those opportunities because she shares them on a post, at least on a weekly basis. Yeah. So thank you very much. I had posted the link to our profile on the chat. So I hope everybody got it. But when you just go to LinkedIn platform, just type her name, you'll get it. Also, for those of us who are not following 4BM, Forgotten Bottom Millions, kindly on all platforms, just type Forgotten Bottom Millions 4BM and follow us too. So for more of these opportunities, yeah. So next week on Thursday, same time, same place, we still have a session, and we'll let you know what session it is. Yeah, for now, allow me to close the session, and thank you very much, Tilope. Hope to see you. Yeah, we're also hoping to come to Nigeria.
Yes, so Kawo. Definitely. I'm going to come. I'm coming. I'm definitely coming.
Okay, thank you. Have a good evening and good night, Kenya. It's evening in Nigeria, I think. It's late
I'm
night.
actually not even in Nigeria right now. Funny enough, I'm actually currently in the US. So right now it's just like almost 3 p.m. So okay. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Bye everyone. Have a nice time. See you next week.
Yeah.